Although officially banned in January, it appears that third-party boosting communities are still alive and well. Well, isn't that just the worst kept secret in World of Warcraft? Hey all, it's Nim or Nimicry if you're feeling professional, and welcome to the YouTube video. Now today we're going to be talking about boosting communities in World of Warcraft. Why are they still active? Is there anything Blizzard can do? And a few other odds and ends. But before we get started, if you like what I do, or you like what the channel does in specific, go on and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything the channel does. In addition, you can find me on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But without further ado, let's get started on the boosting community. So, in an article by Wowhead posted by, it was at Archimos, make sure to credit the things, that's why I pay for Wowhead Premium too. Also, gets rid of the ads and everything and helps the site. They do a lot of good work. Support Wowhead if you can, if you play work. Now, although officially banned in January, it appears that third-party boosting communities are still alive and well. Well, isn't that just the worst kept secret in World of Warcraft? Color me shocked. Insert Futurama GIF here now. Matching players willing to spend gold on dungeon or raid clears with groups able to carry them. Twitter post by Penkek highlights several major European boosting communities which are still in operation. Now you can always find this article on Wowhead and click the link, so I think we'll avoid going there because Twitter sometimes is a bit of a crapshoot when it comes to showing things. Especially if you have to scroll a little bit. You never know what you're going to find. And, well, some of that stuff is not, let's say, YouTube friendly. Along with a video in which they're matched with current world's second guild Method for the sale. Now listen, I'm a big fan of Method. Fine. I like that. I like Method as a guild. I remember when they were doing really well. So I'm not throwing shade at any of the top guilds because of the fact that they're doing something they need. And Stripe later on has a tweet that explains certain things. So I'm not, if Blizzard doesn't take action against the boosting communities, is it really against the TOS? And the answer is yeah, it's of course still against TOS. At any point, they can decide to, pull the chain, as it were, and be like, okay, you're reined in and all y'all are banned. But the thing is, because Blizzard has a financial incentive to keep these players playing, to draw attention, to sell tokens, to move things, they're not going to. So it's kind of like, well, you shouldn't do it. And again, the worst kept secret in World of Warcraft. So in this video, Penkek purchases a Sepulchre raid from Dawn and then is invited to join a Method raid group, seemingly in violation of Blizzard's ban on boosting community. So the Google document and video lay out plenty of evidence that doesn't need to be repeated, but the bigger question is why Blizzard has allowed these tacitly banned communities to persist, along with why prominent guilds are still involved with them. Certainly the most obvious answer is for the money. The Method's involvement has sparked further conversation, with high-profile individuals such as Echo's raid leader Stripe bringing up additional points. We'll read Stripe's tweet and then I'll go over the rest. So Stripe on Twitter on May 4th was, Method and other guilds are cornered in doing this kind of stuff when you ban the boosting communities but keep the insane requirements for gold money to compete. I don't blame Method really here, but Blizzard either needs to loosen up the rules or stop breaking. And that's, I think Stripe really puts the nail on the head there, is that, okay, either you need to allow this to happen or you need to actually enforce it, because the community's not going to change. Now, when they talk about insane requirements for gold and money to compete, that is, of course, community imposed, right? So, for example, you're going to need raid consumables. You just are. You're going to need a bunch of flasks, cauldrons. You're going to need a bunch of fish and meat and things for your feasts. You're going to need enchants. You're going to want augment. Those are all going to cost money, and especially during the race to World First. I want you to really look at me here. They're going to inflate the prices as they can, because you don't want to be in second place for want of, I don't know, let's say 10,000 gold. So you spend it because it gets you as much as you can control under your control, and then the rest of it is the player's performance and random number mechanics and things like that. So I understand why Stripe would be upset with this, because there is that insane requirement for gold money. And we did a video in which I believe it was we saw somebody, one of the guilds, I think it might have been Liquid, who spent as much money to get 2 brand new Mercedes and still have money left over. In fact, the 1.1 billion gold that came from the Chinese guild was a little over the amount of money you would make if you made $15 an hour for 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year at tax-free. Still more than that. So I want to, so when they say insane, I am inclined to believe that that is an insane price. Now, are they paying it willingly? Could you maybe have some sort of agreement to shackle yourselves, so to speak? No, I don't think you could do that, because someone's always going to try to eke out that performance. So the best thing to do is to either level the playing field completely, or cut off the ability to gain an advantage. And there'll be more below. Now, we can find some sympathy here, as it's easy to believe that guilds have no other way to keep up with these obscene gold required to participate in the race to world first, if not for these kind of organized sales. And keep in mind, they're just talking about gold here. They're not talking about RMT. Now, we all know that RMT, real money trading, is absolutely against the TOS. It is a bane on the game. It's an absolute problem in the game, and it was with, Gallywix, the boosting community. There was a lot there. Asmongold did a really big video on that. I won't delve into any more of that. You can watch his stuff there, and odds are, if you're watching this, you probably did. But I want to make sure that we very clearly have a demarcation between really explicitly not tolerated TOS breaking behavior and tacitly tolerated breaking TOS behavior. One, obviously, you're taking money out of Blizzard's pocket with the RMT, the gold sales. The other one, it's a bit of a gray area. Even though it's against TOS, it's not enforced, so I mean, it's one of those things. Now, if I were to venture a solution here, I would say that Blizzard's probably going to have to do what they did with WoW token, the boosting community. You register your boosting community with Blizzard. You then sell through some type of apparatus or some type of official channel. And then that way everything can be regulated and make sure that, prices can be controlled and costs can be kept down. Blizzard will probably take a cut in order to prevent WoW, or in order to prevent gold inflation. And then everyone is more or less happy. Now, some people, of course, if that solution comes in, they're going to be like, oh no, what happened to all the stuff? And they're going to be upset. But right now, as it is, they exist in, for lack of a better term, a legal gray area. At any point, Blizzard could decide to be like, yank, all right, you're banned, no more of that. And especially if that happens near a world first race, well, congratulations, you're out of the running. And all the work that you did, all the preparation that is technically part of race to world first, has been for naught. So congratulations there. So that's one of the reasons why I think Blizzard should probably take a firmer hand with this, if only to keep it under control, make sure things run smoothly. Or, another thing, you could prevent the boosting entirely. I don't like that idea, because there were times where when I was a more skilled player, I could sell boosts. I could work with a boosting group. Now, right now, I'm not in that particular category. I don't play WoW enough to do that. And I'm also a Ret Paladin, so people are like, oh, look at that. Look at you, little guy. Pinch your cheeks. I do some decent damage, though. Ret's actually not in a terrible place, and a few baseline fixes are fine. Anyway, that's another video entirely. Now, as we continue here, that's made more difficult with each passing tier 2, and it's no secret that spending has been steadily increasing, although while part of it is due to normal inflation and some is circumstantial due to relative power of things like corruptions or set bonuses from tier to tier, the amount of gold spent on these things isn't set by Blizzard so much as what's driven by what are guilds willing to spend on them. So, for example, how much are you willing to spend for a 1% increase in efficiency over your competitor? How about a 2%, 3%, a 4%, a 5%? The difference between a 20-man raid group of world first raiders with full tier and without full tier, meaning same skill level all across the board, is astronomical, because these players, albeit, are at the highest skill cap in the game, right? They are the best players. And then when you give them the tools, they can take those tools and those results much farther than, say, myself. I'm not a world first player. I don't think I'll ever be a world first player. So how much are guilds willing to spend on that? And thus we see part of the power creep. So undoubtedly, basic raid consumables alone make participating in the race to world first an inordinately expensive venture for normal guilds. I like how they put normal guilds in quotes. But these costs have been pushed to obscene by things like PvP boosts and community gear trading. Now, I wouldn't say that those two things are necessarily required for raiding, because of the fact that that's extra gear outside of it. But yeah, you generally design raid encounters with people having flasks and food. Okay. As recently analyzed in our article, The Cost of the World First, which I did a video on, there'll be a link in the cards and probably in the description. Meta is actually one of the smaller offenders of this tier, only spending around 480 million gold, about 41,000 US in WoW token price at the time, compared to Echo's 694 million, approximately 59,000 USD, or Liquid's 723 million, an astounding 93,000 USD, accounting for regional price differences. Now, keep in mind, there was Chinese guild spent 1.1 billion gold, but that came out to about $32,000. So, again, regional price differences, things matter. It certainly isn't contained in these three, though, as nearly every competing guild is guilty of rampant inflated spending this tier, all in an effort to remain competitive with another. Yeah, that makes sense. And let's see. So, who's really at fault here? Blizzard for adding powerful tier sets, which take time to acquire, or guilds offering tens of millions of gold to acquire them faster? It's probably a little bit of both. I'm gonna say that, yeah, I tend to think that. Now, tier. So I remember 8.3 corruptions were crazy. I sold an item for like 50k that wasn't even that great, and it sold like that. I mean, it was the easiest 50k I've ever made, and then I think it was Echoing Void, and it got nerfed like the next day, sadly. So that was a weird thing. Sorry to that person, but thanks for the 50k, I guess. But I want to draw attention to the fact to this idea that Blizzard adding powerful tier sets which take time to acquire. Now, this is one of the arguments for Master Looter and Split Run. The idea that right now, top guilds will, funnel as much gear as they can, but if you had Master Looter, you could generally have a higher degree of control of which character gets said gear. So, all right, this time we're going to gear up Paladin number 2. And the next split run, we're going to gear up Hunter 6. And the next one, we're going to do Warlock 1. And I don't know what these people's names. I'm just making up classes and numbers and things. But by having Master Looter back, you could funnel gear to your main. Your main then gets to go to the raid and perform without having to do things like I'm about to show you. Oh, I guess it opened that up. I didn't think that was gonna do. So this is from Liquid. We need your help. Sepulchral Split Run. 2 million gold for a normal tier piece. 750 gold for heroic trinkets. 4 million gold for heroic tier set piece. 500,000 gold for heroic off pieces. 1 million for a heroic weapon, and up to 5 million gold for various equipment. 10 million gold for normal Lords of Dread / Rygalon tier set pieces. And then, of course, they also have some various things here, giveaway, and Liquid jerseys and things. And these two, I have no problem. This stuff is where we have certain problems. So let's get out of that. Let's go back. I didn't realize I thought that was gonna open up. So then we look here. Wake up for Echo. Wake up EU. It's time. Team Echo needs you to help them in Sepulchre of the first ones. And this tier, we've upped our game and our prices. And of course, you can join the Discords everywhere to find that out. So look here. We'll pull up Echoes while we're doing this. So this is the updated splits, how to enter. So we have the 10 million gold for normal tier token from Dreadlords of Rygalon. 4 for any heroic tier. 2 million for any normal tier. Up to 4 million for various other items. Run heroic Sepulchre, the first ones. If you loot a trinket, do not get saved to Prototype Pantheon. If you don't loot a trinket, you can do a full clear. Do not get saved to normal mode after doing heroic, so you can trade us loot normal. And there you go. And of course, these are all sponsors and things like that in order to get money to actually buy these tokens for these prices, because even if you have a team of diligent farmers, it's incredibly hard to get that much gold, let alone that much gold multiple times. Of course, method. Prices are up. Giveaways are up. 3 million gold per normal piece. Even bigger exclusive giveaway. 3 times mythic jailer mounts. 2 5 million gold jackpots. 3 million gold jackpots. Heroic prices coming soon. For, of course, the race. And we actually use this image in my video on the race to world first cost. And so we're going to keep this 3 million trade normal piece. Have heroic tier to be eligible. 1.5 million. You trade a priest, DK, and win ring. You have to have 252 rings to be eligible. And then you can join Split Helper and all that jazz, and you get your giveaway. Every attendee is, of course, guaranteed a curve boost after progress, which makes sense. That way people can get stuff. You can help out. You can help out your favorite creators or guild. Also gain yourself an AOTC, move on, and even have a chance to get some mythic kills if you get lucky. So I'm not opposed to all 3 of these guilds and other guilds, of course, doing giveaways like that. Hey, we'll get you a curve, we'll get you, maybe a couple of mythic kills. Maybe we can bring you in on, farming runs or whatever. It's fine. I'm not upset with that. The problem here is that how do you get 10 million gold through normal play? I have a friend who plays the auction house and parses at rank 1. Name is Stricken. He's a DK. He will absolutely grind the auction. And it will take him forever to get to 10 million gold. Now, I'm not saying that, and he's good at it. Got the add-ons, he sets up, undercut, does the thing, knows how to play the auction house, takes forever. The only reliable way to get 10 million gold is to whip out the credit card and then buy it. Which means that you're going to have to take on a debt or have a lot of money up front. Which means it's going to have to be paid back. Or you're going to have to take sponsors. So when they say normal guild, right? What normal guild has a sponsor? Out of curiosity. What normal, even high-end content creator has a lucrative sponsor? There's probably a few once you get into the couple hundred viewers every time. But those are very minuscule sponsorships. Now, maybe once you get into, like, let's say, I don't know, like Ajira or Anafusia, then you can start to get some more lucrative partnerships. But how many players have that? Realistically, what percentage of player base has that? Oh, that's a thought. Now, as we continue down, Method probably isn't the only well-known guild participating in these type of sales either. It isn't. I'm willing to bet that Liquid and Echo and BDGG and other things are as well. Just the only one we know using a third-party community in which to do so. Every guild involved in the race uses sales to recoup their debts and expenses, along with many more who aren't explicitly competing. It is also worth acknowledging that although other guilds may not be using a third-party community to set up their sales, organizations like Echo and Liquid are big enough that they don't need communities in the first place. Yeah, people on Twitter. People, I know, when you say, oh, Method did a thing. Oh, I know who Method is. I know who Echo is. I know who Liquid is. At a certain point, you get to the idea of this guild in itself is its own community. And they have different factions throughout gaming. I'm sure there's, FPS communities and that are part of it and other things like that. I think Liquid has some stuff in various things. I don't play a lot of esports style games, so forgive my ignorance on that, but I'm fairly certain that they have different divisions. And I guess divisions. They'd certainly benefit from it. But their reach is large enough to find buyers on their own, allowing them to reap all the benefits of sale-fueled spending without infringing on Blizzard's policy. Again, because they have such a high size, they're so big, they can technically skirt the rules without actually breaking them. The intent of the ban was to cut out the middleman and make sales more personally driven. Huge Twitter advertising drives and many guilds employing community liaison to arrange sales for the players instead of third-party organizer. The end result is hardly different. In fact, yeah, a community liaison, okay, could be a third-party person. Well, what if we invite them to the guild? Well, now they're not third-party because they're in my guild. They have the Method tag, or they have the Liquid tag, or they have the Echo tag, right? They're not. We invited them because we like how they talk to people. They're real easy to talk to people. And because they're in our guild, it's no longer third party. So, hey, what's going on? When in effect, it's the same. Unfortunately, there's no good answer to the growing problem. Commenters repeatedly bring up the idea of a tournament realm. Yes, bring up a tournament. A tournament realm is great, which may work to put players on an even footing, but it is a solution that few participants actually want. Blizzard doesn't want to regulate it. The players don't want to be regulated by it. Further fragments the player base and introduces a host of other issues to contend with, such as those raiders now having to effectively progress twice through the tier, or giving up playing their actual main accounts. Also does disservice the fact that preparation is actually a competitive element, even if the idea is being taken too far, is what had led to this issue in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to ask here, source needed on a solution that few participants actually want. Now, I understand Blizzard doesn't want to regulate it because that means it's going to cost time, money, resources to actually regulate it and create systems to do that. As for players being regulated by it, I'm curious because I there's a tweet that I had from Method, and I think I can throw it up here. I'll look for it. So boom, it should be there. And that tweet was, I asked, was too much money spent on the race to world first? And their answer was, yeah, it was. Absolutely. 100%. And more importantly, with all of these people infringing debts, what are you doing? Friend in high-end raid guild? Well, Mythic Jailer. Oh, what about tomorrow? Mythic Jailer. What about in 6 hours? Mythic Jailer. Because we're selling, they have to do the sell runs in order to recoup the losses as fast as possible. So after progress, great, you guys did it, you knocked it down, awesome, way to go. You placed first, second, third, fourth, whatever. Good job to you guys. Definitely better players than myself, so that's clear again. But what are you doing? Well, Mythic Jailer, Mythic Jailer, Mythic Jailer, Mythic Jailer. Hey, oh, hello. Oh, it's the Mythic Jailer. Yeah, no, I'm coming again. I'll be there in a second. 1 second. Okay, yeah. Sorry, honey. Mythic Jailer o'clock. I'd love to have a sandwich, but Mythic Jailer. And it's that farming and farming and farming and farming and farming, and ultimately that will drive people away from the game, especially if things become less lucrative or more effort. And Preach has done a video on the Mythic rating tax. I'll leave that to Preach as he participates in the game when he does at a much higher level than I do. But I want to mention that this can be so painful and so hard to do. But I would like to see sources on what players don't actually want, because the tournament realm means that, okay, you don't have to worry about doing farm runs, because how do you trade gear on a different realm? You can't. Just give people consumable vendors, where it's like, okay, congratulations, you just talk to this person, you get your stack of flasks, your stack of food, and you go, and you just treat it like a tournament realm. Well, but Nim, how would we invite people? I don't know, you can figure something out. You could absolutely figure something out. It's not hard. Everybody who gets Cutting Edge has a chance to be invited. Well, what if people buy Cutting Edge? Well, then you are actively gimping yourself. Because if you can't earn Cutting Edge, you have no place in the race to World First. You're not a good enough player, and any guild that brings you has actively basically shot themselves in the foot. Now, it is important to recognize that this isn't a new problem. It is the result of a long-running arms race stretching back as far as the game itself, farming blasted lands consumables, and dispelling world buffs to account sharing or raid stacking with mandatory alts. There are certainly things Blizzard could do to curtail big pressure points, removing BOEs and making further adjustments to the way loot is allocated. But as long as these guilds can justify the time spent, either in preparation beforehand or paying off debt after the tier ends, they'll continue to find ways to spend their time and money on every advantage they can. And that is, because again, it's a competition. So that 1% puts me 1% ahead, gives me a higher chance of victory. I'm going to take it. Class stacking. That's why we have Metal List. Who does the most burst DPS? Who does the most sustainable DPS? What are my most efficient healers? What are my best tanks? That way I can control as much as humanly possible, and then I throw myself against the encounter. This makes perfect sense. As for removing BOEs, I don't think that's a good idea. Just because of the fact that it's what, 2 slots? 2 slots out of 16? Fine. I don't think that's a big deal. Now, what you could do is you could guarantee to where they don't drop until you've killed a certain boss, perhaps, something else, but it seems like they nerfed the drop rate anyways, especially back from when I was doing Warlords of Draenor, when I was doing some farming stuff. So that's something there. As for mandatory alts, I mean, how do you regulate a raid? There were times, I remember, what was it? Cromog it was Cromog and Blackhand. I think Method had 5 Boomkin Druids, which absolutely demolished those fights. Don't get me wrong. But what normal guild can field 5 of one specific type of DPS that's already geared and able to be played at a high level? Probably not too many, at least intentionally. I did play with a raiding guild years ago that had 4 Resto Druids, which, okay, our Trank game was on point. Anyways, before we go on too far, tell me what you guys think about this video. Was I on point? Is this an overblown problem? Is it something we should probably worry about? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you like what I do, if you like what the channel does in specific, go on and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything the channel does. In addition, I've been told I should push this more often. I stream on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we do some educational. A lot of times we'll do MMOs. And we recently started putting in like hack and slash action games. I've been getting my absolutely destroyed in Ninja Gaiden. Believe me, it is a humbling experience. But it feels very good when you win. So, yay me. And you can find that, of course, at twitch.tv/Nimicry. If you're social media inclined, you can follow me on Twitter at Nimicry. And that's great for, snappy comebacks, back and forth, memes, things like that. If you want a longer discussion, there's a link to my Discord down below in the description. Finally, for those who wish to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, there is Patreon. Patreon is a great way to support small creators like myself, monetize videos. I ultimately create more things, and it's a wonderful stuff. In addition, you will get some bonuses if you subscribe, depending on the tier. That is, of course, all found at patreon.com/Nimicry. Thank you to everyone who watched this far. Thank you to the subscribers. We're almost at 2K, and I think I might get a new Patreon. Somebody, it's supporter at one point here. So, again, thank you for that. This video was important to make because, ultimately, I want the health of WoW to be good. Just like I'd want the health of Final Fantasy to be good. Just like I'd want the health of ESO to be good. Because the MMORPG genre is my favorite genre. And when things harm it, I'm not happy about it. Ultimately, we'll see how this plays out. Maybe Blizzard will take action. But until then, may the mount you're farming drop on the first hill.